Crikey. We're out here searching for the pound for pound best fighter in the world. Oh. There he is. Look at him. He's a majestic little fella. Oh, don't get too close to him. You might get wrestled.
What time is it then? Please tell these guys.
It's Tony time, bitches!
Welcome to Tony's MMA Corner, the only MMA channel that's number 2 pound for pound best MMA show. All the other ones are tied. I am your host, Tony Sepulveda! And today, we have a lot to go over since the fallout of UFC 284. UFC 284 has come and gone. Well, sort of, because that main event has left us wanting more. It was an amazing main event, as I thought it would be. Sure, the casuals probably weren't too impressed, but that's why they call them casuals. However, this fight was a highly contested bout that was back and forth, with Islam, I think, taking the first 2 rounds. The first one easier than the second. The third round going to Volkanovski. And then I believe the 4th round was pretty hard to score because of the fact that Volkanovski was doing more damage from the bottom back mount than Islam. And when have you ever seen anyone win from that position? It just doesn't happen. When the 5th round concluded, we saw Volkanovski on top, that's right, on top of Islam Makhachev, landing some vicious ground and pound right before dropping him with a hard shot. Nobody thought that's the way that this fight would end. Volkanovski did an incredible job and fought well beyond expectations, as he always does. Islam also looked impressive, as he was able to hurt Volkanovski in the striking department. Everyone's saying that Volkanovski got robbed. Well, not everyone. A lot of people are saying that. I don't believe he got robbed. I believe it was a very close fight. And at the end of it, I actually thought that it might go to a draw based on that 4th round, because you can't really give it to anybody. At least that's how I feel. You can't really give it to Islam. He's not doing anything there. And you can't give it to Volkanovski because he's in there. He should have escaped, caused a scramble. The issue was that he was against the fence. So it was pretty tough for him to actually create the scramble that he wanted to get out of that position. So he elected to throw strikes and play to the crowd. Unfortunately, the judges didn't think that he did enough. So Islam won. I'm not too mad about that one. So Islam is now the pound for pound best fighter in the world until John Jones comes back. And Volk is number 2. You could probably thank Craig Jones for that, because that man is a curse. He's the best coach for getting you to 2nd place. And since we're mentioning John Jones, this show is sponsored by I'm Just a Fan of Violence, Wife Beaters. As always, the link is in the description. Another post-UFC 284 news, Nick Diaz felt that Islam got his ass whooped. I tend to agree with Nick Diaz. I believe that if this bout was scored the way you scored the old Pride fights, Volkanovski would get the win, because they score the bout as a whole. And if Nick Diaz was judging, Islam got his whole ass whooped. But that's not how the way it was scored. They score it round by round, and Islam, I think, was able to get those 3 rounds. On Monday morning, Dan Hooker, who happens to be Volkanovski's team captain, made some serious accusations towards Islam. And I have those accusations right here. Let's see, and I quote, Dumb thinks he can fly to Australia, hire a nurse to give him an IV, and we won't find out? Cheating dag. An Australian or Pikey? I guess we'll have to see what USADA does in response to these accusations. If found guilty of this, Islam Makhachev could face a 2-year suspension. This is also not his first run-in with USADA. Back in 2016, he was flagged for meldonium, or as I like to call it, Russian Flintstone vitamins. As of now, Islam and his manager say these claims are complete BS. We'll just have to wait and see. MMA is just like pro wrestling. A lot of drama. Big drama show. In more MMA drama, Justin Gaethje cuts a promo on Conor McGregor in response to he and Michael Chandler being on the Ultimate Fighter 31. He tells a schmo in response to the Conor Chandler matchup, he says it makes perfect sense. He only fights people that I beat. Which is kind of weird because Conor fought Khabib, who he didn't beat, Dustin twice. Gaethje also didn't beat. Eddie Alvarez, who he didn't beat. So, I just think that Gaethje is finally showing signs of CTE. Nicky Rodriguez set the grappling world on fire with this clip from him on the Mark Bell Power Project.
Competitors against each other, but what do you think makes him good?
I mean, his biggest thing is steroids.
You think it's purely?
I mean, the guy, you can't gain 50 pounds of muscle and be like, oh, it's irrelevant. No, it's super fucking relevant. You wouldn't be half the thing, the person you were if you didn't do that. And no disrespect.
Well, it seems like the Danaher Death Squad was playing nice with each other, but those days are over. With Craig Jones training with Felipe Pena to get him ready to fight Gordon Ryan, and now Nicky Rod just going off on Gordon Ryan about steroids, I think it's safe to say that the grappling world is about to get one of its greatest rivalries of all time. I mean, think about it. It makes sense. Sure, Gordon Ryan and the Danaher Death Squad gave Nicky Rod pretty much everything, but with a guy like Nicky Rod, who seems to be ultra competitive, do you think he would have been able to stay in Gordon Ryan's shadow? No. And that's why I think the group split. I don't know anything personally, to be honest, but that's why I guess that the group split. Both those guys want to be number one in the world. They can't be on the same team, so look forward to seeing those guys go at it for the next few years. Right now, Gordon's up 2-0, but Nicky Rod made it very, very interesting in their last bout, as Gordon Ryan really couldn't do much, and Nicky Rod was actually able to break his foot and cause a tap after regulation. It did not take Gordon Ryan too long to respond to this video, as he went off on his Instagram page. Now, it's a lot for me to go over. You could certainly go back and check out his Instagram page to get the full story, but pretty much the gist of it is that he also thinks that Nicky Rod is on steroids. And he doesn't think too much about Nicky Rod's grappling. He also feels that he stole his body lock system from John Danaher and doesn't give him any credit. I think this rivalry is going to get real nasty. And it's probably the best thing that can happen to the grappling world, because it will get eyes on the product. Grappling can be very hard to watch for the casual fan, but if you get two personalities like Nicky Rod and Gordon Ryan, it's got a chance to break into the mainstream. Now let's cleanse the palate with all that negative MMA beef with some great news. UFC lightweight pioneer Jens Pulver was just inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. And here's a video of him reacting to the news.
Oh, dude. Shut up. Are you serious?
Wow, let's go.
No way. No way. No way.
Hell yeah, Little Evil. Well deserved. It's a great way to end the show. I'll see you guys next time on Tony's MMA Corner.